Every single year, as soon as the new iPhones are released, the very first thing that I do when I receive my own unit is start tinkering with the various customization options on offer. And over the past few weeks, ever since I got my own iPhone 15 Pro, I have spent an absurd amount of time doing exactly that. So I've explored the web to see if there are any new hidden tricks with iOS 17. I've spent not just days, but weeks creating new assets, and after a huge amount of trial and error, I feel like I've finally landed on what is probably my favorite iOS setup of all time. It's actually a full-on replica of the setup I use on my Android phones, but now it's on an iPhone, and let me tell you, I absolutely love it. As always, for this setup, we've got brand new wallpapers, new icons, and the entire setup still automatically changes to a beautiful dark mode setup at night. And then if that wasn't enough, as far as I'm concerned, it's also the easiest of all of my setups to not only recreate, but to also quickly adjust after the fact. And so, of course, I just had to create a video explaining exactly how you can go about recreating this very setup on your own iOS device. Plus, I'm also going to cover all of the other ways that you can customize your iPhone as well. So with that being said, grab a drink, get comfy, and let's dive in. Now, before we get to the home screen setup, let's start by taking a look at the various customization options on offer for the lock screen. First and foremost, this is actually now the quickest method to change your wallpaper, which you can do by simply long pressing your lock screen here, then by tapping this plus icon, and then by selecting whichever wallpaper you so desire. Apple has a bunch of these pretty neat preset options available if you scroll down here. And what's really cool is that if you choose a wallpaper with a clearly identifiable subject in the foreground, then iOS will cleverly place that subject on top of the clock as long as it doesn't obscure too much of it. You can even now scale an image out if you want to ensure that you're not cutting any of it off. And if you do so with iOS 17, then it will seamlessly extend that photo at the top, which I thought was a really nice addition. You can also swipe across here to quickly change between preset themes, which is kind of neat. You can also tap on the calendar up here to add a small text-based widget next to the date. And this works for third-party apps too, as long as they support the feature. So for example, I'm going to switch mine to the weather here. I can also then tap on the clock here to change up the font and color, which is really cool. And if that wasn't enough, we can even add lock screen widgets now for any app that supports the feature, which I think is fantastic. So that's the lock screen customization options out of the way. But while we're here, I'll tap on cancel, and I'm now going to set up the actual wallpapers I'll be using in this setup. And given that this is a brand new setup, as is kind of tradition now, I have indeed gone ahead and put together a brand new wallpaper pack that I've just released, and it's called Watercolor. And I know I say this just about every time I release a new wallpaper pack, but this is genuinely my favorite wallpaper pack that I've created so far. And it's also the first time that I've dabbled in using AI to help create any sort of asset. And the end backdrops, in my opinion, look seriously amazing. And don't let that AI word fool you. This is actually by far the most amount of time and work that I've put into a wallpaper pack so far to make sure that it was the absolute best that it could be. And so whilst each wallpaper was originally generated using AI, I've then gone in and hand edited every single one of them, brushing out bits that I didn't like, giving them all this watercolor infused style that I've been obsessed with lately. And the end result is 10 super high quality backdrops that I'm hoping you'll love. And as always, on top of the 10 original designs, I've also gone ahead and created 10 alternate versions, each of which will hide the dock with iOS 17. And there are 5 that hide the dock when using the light theme, and 5 that hide it with the dark theme. Plus, on top of those, I've also gone ahead and created another 10 alternate versions, each of which are designed to work on widescreen devices. Now, you can obviously use any wallpapers that you like for your own setup, and everything in this video will still apply. However, whichever wallpapers that you do decide to use, if they're not already in your photo gallery, then you'll need to get them there. So for example, if you're using my watercolor pack and you've purchased it and then subsequently downloaded it directly onto your phone, then you'll need to open up the Files application and navigate to your Downloads folder, and you should see the pack there in a zip file format. We just need to tap on it to decompress the zip file, then open the newly created folder and find whichever wallpaper we want to use. For my setup, I'll be using this wallpaper here called River for the light mode version. So with that open, I'll tap on the share icon down here and then tap on save. But I also want to use this iOS variant as well for the home screen. So I'll go ahead and save that one as well. Then for the dark mode version of the setup, I'm going to use this mountain night wallpaper. So I'll tap on share, then save. And again, I'll also go ahead and do the same for this iOS variant. Then if I lock my phone to come back to the lock screen and long press to enter into customization mode, I'll tap this plus icon here, then tap on photos, then on albums, and then on recent. I'm going to start by selecting my light mode lock screen wallpaper, which is this one here. I'll pinch and slide it up to scale it out all the way. Then I'll tap on add. Then I'll tap on customize home screen. And from here, I'll tap on photo, then albums, recent, and then I'll select the iOS variant, which is this one here. I'll tap on done, then done again, and there we go. While we're here though, I'm going to tap this plus icon again to set up my dark mode wallpapers. So I'll again tap on photos, then albums, then on recent. And again, I'll first select my lock screen dark mode wallpaper, which is this one here. Then I'll tap add, then customize home screen, tap on photos, then albums, then recent, and then I'll select the iOS variant, which is this one here. I'll tap on done, then done again, and the last thing to do is swipe back to my light mode wallpaper and then tap to enable it. All right, from there, let's unlock our phone and start setting up this home screen. Oh, and by the way, as you can see, this wallpaper hides that dock beautifully, so I just wanted to enjoy that for a moment. But from there, you'll want to long press your home screen, then tap on the dots icon down here, and then uncheck all but one home screen, preferably leaving the one that has the least amount of app shortcuts on it. Once complete, we can tap our remaining page, and then we need to also remove everything from this screen. So I'll tap to remove this first app, then tap on remove from home screen, and then repeat those steps for the second app as well. And with both of those removed, we now have our clean slate and can start creating our widgets. Now we're going to be using two apps to create our home screen: Clear Spaces, which costs a few bucks, and then Widget, which is free with an optional in-app purchase, but that optional in-app purchase is not needed for what we're doing today. But with both of those installed, let's long press on our home screen here, then tap on the plus icon up here, and then we'll scroll down a bit and tap on this blank widget icon, which is for the Clear Spaces app. We'll add a medium widget to our home screen, then we'll tap the plus button again and scroll all the way down and select the widget option. Then we'll swipe all the way over and tap to create a large widget, and then I'll just long press and drag this Clear Spaces widget to the top, and there we go. All right, now I'm going to tap on done, and before we actually complete the setup of these widgets, we need to go ahead and set up our dark mode automation. To do this, let's jump into our settings here and then come down and tap on focus. And from here, we'll tap on this plus icon, then tap on custom. We'll give it the name dark, and then we'll select an icon that suits, which for me has always been this fire icon for some reason. Then we'll tap on next. We'll tap on customize focus, leave these top two options as is. Then we'll come down to this customize screens option and select choose under the lock screen option. Then I'll just choose my dark mode wallpaper here, then tap on done. Then I'll tap on this smart activation option and turn it on, then come back and tap on add schedule, select the time option at the top here, and then set the times I want my dark mode activated, which for me will be from 9 PM until 7 AM. I'll tap on done, and then under this focus filters section, I'll tap to add a filter, then tap on this appearance option and keep this set to dark. I'll tap on add, and there we go. Our focus mode is set up. So when we come back home and swipe into our control center and tap on focus here, if I then select this dark focus mode that I just set up and come back home, you can see that our wallpaper changes automatically and our dark theme also becomes activated, which I love. Oh, and as you can see, our dock is also hidden with this wallpaper, which again is so nice. All right, now before we get to properly setting up our home screen, I just wanted to take a moment to thank today's video sponsor, Pulseway, which is a serious game changer for tech professionals like you and me. So in a sometimes outrageously fast-paced world, Pulseway is kind of like a trusted friend, and it's not just another piece of software, it's a lifeline for anyone that navigates the complex maze of servers, networks, and connected devices. So picture this, you're out and about, perhaps sipping coffee at a cafe, or maybe you're even enjoying a well-deserved holiday, and suddenly an alarm goes off on your phone related to a server back at home or at the office. Now, normally that might make you panic, but with Pulseway, everything is under control. And that's because it grants you the power of remote monitoring and management. With a few taps, you can pinpoint the issue, troubleshoot, and even fix it without skipping a beat. So if you're serious about staying ahead of the curve and ensuring that your systems run smoothly, whilst also having the freedom to live your life and go wherever your heart so desires, then Pulseway is your answer. Try it free using the first link down in the description below. All right, from there, we can now start finalizing the setup of our home screen. So with our dark focus mode still activated, I'm gonna long press my home screen here, then swipe over to this blank page here and take a screenshot. Then I'm gonna swipe into my control panel, turn that dark focus mode off, then come back to my home screen, long press again, swipe over to this blank page, and again, take a screenshot. Then I'll come back and tap on my top Clear Spaces widget, then tap to create a new Clear Spaces style. Then I'll tap the light mode space here and select that light mode screenshot. And now I'll tap this dark mode space and select the dark mode screenshot. Then if I come back home, there you go. That top space is now completely blank. And what's so great about this Clear Spaces app in particular is that they've come up with a workaround that means that there is no name underneath the widget, which is amazing. All right, let's now set up the heart of this home screen, that widget. And this is where things are far easier than previous setup videos I've made, whereby it's all actually one self-contained widget and I've done most of the hard work for you. So if you open the Widget app on your own phone and then tap on import, all you need to do is scan the QR code on screen right now, and that'll then import the entire widget for you. And all we need to do is now add our app icons. To do this, I'm gonna tap on Edit Widget, and right away, Widget will ask me to set up the transparent wallpapers. So I'll tap here and select that recently captured light mode screenshot. Then I'll tap here and select that recently captured dark mode screenshot. Then I'll tap the tick icon, and then we'll be taken straight into the widget editor. And if I open up this app icons group here, you'll see 20 different layers, 2 per application. There's a tap action followed by an image placeholder, and you just tap on this first image here, then tap the gallery icon. Then we just need to tap on system, then files. And all you need to do is search for your icon of choice and select it. Now for this setup, my team and I have actually created a brand new icon pack that we call Drops 2.0. For anyone who's been following my channel over the years, you might know that for the longest time, I've been obsessed with this super old and outdated icon pack that used to be available on the Play Store called the Drops Icon Pack. But a number of years ago, that pack was actually removed from the Play Store. And so ever since then, I've always wanted to bring it back as a new, updated version, but with all of the design cues that I and so many loved about the original pack. And where the original pack was discontinued with only 400 icons supported, we're launching our version of the pack with over 650 icons at launch, and we plan to continue updating the pack over time to keep it relevant for many more years to come. Anyhow, you can pick that up over on my website, and then once you download it and unzip it, you'll see that there's actually 2 versions of the pack. The original size, which are the smaller ones, just like the original Drops icon pack, and then these slightly larger versions if you prefer slightly bigger icons. Whichever way you go, I suggest deleting the folder that you don't want, otherwise it'll make the setup process more complicated. So I'm gonna go ahead and delete the 225 by 225 folder. Then I'm gonna come back into Widget, tap on files again, search for my first icon, which is the YouTube Studio app, then I'll select it. Then I'll tap back, select the next image here, tap on system, then on files, and search for my next icon, which is the Twitter app. And yes, we have an icon for the updated version they call X, as well as some other alternates, but I'm old school, so I'm gonna select this blue Twitter icon here. And then you just repeat the process until all of your other icons are set up, like this. Now, I've already got each of the tap actions set up for the icons that I use in my own setup, but if you want to change any of them, just tap on them, then tap down here, and you can search through all of the apps in this third-party apps list or this Apple's apps list, and hopefully the app that you're looking for will show up. However, if it doesn't, then you can select this custom actions option here, then tap on Open URL and enter what is called an iOS URL scheme for the app you're wanting to set up. Now you can sometimes get lucky with this, and the URL scheme will simply be the name of the app followed by a colon and then 2 forward slashes. So that was the case with my podcasting app of choice called Snipped, but then for other apps, it might not be quite that straightforward. To help out, I've linked 2 websites below, both of which contain a pretty extensive list of URL schemes for third-party apps, and even in-app shortcuts like jumping straight to Instagram stories as an example. And if you just use the keyboard shortcut Control or Command F on either of those pages, you'll hopefully be able to find the app that you're looking for. For the rare occasion that you can't find the app that you want on either of those lists, then your last option is to go to Google and see if a quick search can bring it up for you, which is what happened with the YouTube Studio application for me. But failing that, there's not many more options aside from just trialing any name that you can think of. But I doubt I would have come up with Creator Studio, which is the URL scheme for YouTube Studio, without Google's help. Anyhow, with everything customized the way that you like it, we'll tap back, then confirm, then we'll come back home. Now we can tap on this widget that we created earlier and select our recently made widget. We'll then tap this bottom space, then the tick icon again, then tap on yes. And now when we come back home, our home screen setup is complete. Now, the one downside to using Widget for our app shortcuts is that when we launch each app, it still has to do so via the Widget app first, which is definitely a bit annoying. I would have thought that with the introduction of interactive widgets with iOS 17, that this wouldn't have been an issue, but alas, it wasn't to be. But where there's a downside, there is also a plus side, which is that because we've avoided using any sort of transparent icon creator style app or the shortcuts app itself, we can actually in turn change our wallpapers super quickly. To do so, we just need to come back to our lock screen and long press it. Then we can tap on this plus icon, select photos, albums, and then select whichever wallpaper we want. So let's say this one here called treetops. And then we can just tap on add, customize home screen, then tap on photos, albums, recent, and select the iOS variant here, tap on done, and then done again. Then if we unlock our phone, all we now need to do is long press, swipe over, take a screenshot, then come back, tap on the Clear Spaces widget and change whichever wallpaper we're wanting to switch up. Then tap on the widget, come over to manage and tap on set up transparency, delete the wallpaper we want to change, then tap, select the screenshot, tap the tick icon, come back home, and there we go. A new wallpaper within about a minute, which is so much simpler than it used to be. And if we come into our control center, tap on focus and select our dark focus mode, you can see when we come back home, our dark mode setup is activated. And just a reminder that this will actually happen automatically according to the focus mode schedule that you've set. Oh, and one thing, sometimes after you've set this all up, you may notice that the widget colors look ever so slightly off compared to the wallpaper. So if this ever happens, just repeat the screenshot process and replace the screenshot in both the Clear Spaces app and the Widget app, which as you can see, takes about 10 seconds to do. And that'll fix the issue and it shouldn't reoccur at all. With that being said, a really annoying update that came around with iOS 16 and that hasn't been fixed with iOS 17 either is that depending on the wallpaper, your widget labels may get this black shadow behind them, which doesn't look all that great, and it sometimes wrecks the transparent widgets illusion as well. And so I seriously hope iOS goes back to setting the text color to black, or better yet, let us disable the label under every widget in a future update, because that would be seriously amazing. And just one other thing, if you're seeing this search icon and text at the bottom of your home screen and you want to get rid of it, then to do so, just open up your settings, then come down to this home screen and app library section, and then just disable this toggle here. And so that's it for our home screen setup, but it wouldn't be a complete guide to iPhone 15 customization if I didn't mention the action button, which we can actually use to turn our dark focus mode on or off manually if we so desire. To do so, we can just open up our settings, scroll down and tap on action button, then just swipe over once, tap and change this to our dark focus mode. And there we go. When we come back home and long press our action button, that focus mode activates automatically. And if we long press it again, it reverts back to our light theme. And just one final tip for those who really miss not seeing notification badges on their customized home screens. There is a not super ideal, somewhat janky workaround that you can use whereby you create a folder on your dock filled with the applications that you do want notifications for. And then if you come into the Shortcuts app, you can create a shortcut to anything, or I'm gonna use this previously created nothing shortcut that I've made, which does nothing. And if I then tap the 3-dot icon here, then this drop down arrow, then tap add to home screen, remove the label, then tap the icon here and select either this black or white image, which I've just downloaded from the web, then tap choose, then on add, then straight away open up the Shortcuts app again, tap the drop down arrow, select add to home screen, remove the label, tap on the icon here, select choose photo, and now select the other color, so this black one here, then again tap on choose, then on add. All I now need to do is long press my home screen and select both of those icons, drag them down into the folder, then open that folder and tap to select all of the real icons, and all I'm gonna do is drag them over to the second page here. With that done, all I'm left with now is a sort of faded folder icon down here on my dock with only this small black icon visible, or this white icon visible if my dark focus mode is activated. But more importantly, the folder will show you notification badges for all of those apps on the second page. As I said, it's super janky and definitely not ideal, but it kind of works if you're desperate. But there you have it. That is your deep dive into all things customization on iOS 17 and the iPhone 15 Pro. And here's hoping Apple, or perhaps even the app developers themselves, can figure out a way for us to launch apps directly from interactive widgets without first having to open up the widget app itself, because that would take this setup from amazing to seriously out of this world. Oh, and if there's a way for Apple to allow third-party apps to read unread notifications for other apps, like what we can do on Android using third-party widget apps, then that would allow us to take things even further and create custom notification badges directly within Widgie that appear or disappear depending on their unread notification state. I mean, a man can dream, right? Anyhow, aside from that, links to everything mentioned throughout the video can be found down in the description below. But that's it. Thank you all very much for watching, and I will catch you later.